Today's project, we're working on a Smith & Wesson 45 caliber semi-auto handgun, and the rear sight on this gun is an MMC, and we took it to the range, and what we found out is that the sight wasn't repeatable. And what we then noticed was that the sight up vertical, so the elevation for the sight was it didn't spring back or lock up to a full up position, so there was like a 1/16 inch of play up and down on it. We don't know if that happened while firing it, test firing it, or if it came like that. I didn't notice. But then what I noticed was that if you look at the very top here, you can see there's an elevation screw on the side, and then right here in the very top of the movable portion of the sight, there appears to be a very small little chip out, and that is where the elevation portion of the sight is. That little screw right there takes, I think, a 35 thousandths Allen wrench, and you can adjust the vertical elevation. Well, that little chip out possibly might be part of our problem. It might be all of our problem. I would think that there would be some type of spring underneath it. So what we tried to do is there's two dowel pins, one on each side, that hold that leaf in, not leaf, but sight blade in. And yesterday we tried knocking it out, and that they're in there very tight. So we let it set overnight in penetrating oil, and then we took a small handheld heat gun, put a little bit of heat on it with a heat gun, and tried knocking it out. What we noticed yesterday when we tried to knock it out was there's a gap in between the sight, and the only support there is for that is this the rear portion of the sight is a solid, but all the way up front it's just like an open fork like this, with the back side being supported. So when you're pushing against the pins on either side, you're just springing that forward portion of the blade closed. So that wasn't working out. So what we found is we took a number 16 drill bit and placed it in between the gap. And what that did is it filled that gap and supported everything, so that when we tried hammering against the dowel pins, at least everything was solid. Took quite a bit of patience and hammering, but this is a little nail set that we purchased at I think Menards years ago, and the tip of it was a little bit small, so we just took it on a belt sander and kind of flattened it out a little bit, made it a little bit larger so it fit the pin a little bit better, and a few good whacks with the I think this is a 4-ounce hammer, and it started to move that roll pin. It's not a roll pin, it's a solid dowel pin. It started to get some movement there. So once we got it moving as far as this thing would take us, we then went in with a 1/16 punch to get it opened up. We haven't got it fully out yet, but at least it's a good sign that both pins are moving. I don't know if you can see them with this camera, but right here you can see that the pins are protruding out of the movable portion of the sight blade. So we're going to try and continue disassembly here, hopefully get this thing out and see what the problem is, if there's supposed to be springs, or it looks like there's a leaf blade in there, but it's not doing anything. So maybe that needs to be adjusted. Alright, we'll continue this as soon as we get some more progress here. Okay, so what we have been able to do now is we have knocked, there's two retaining pins here, or dowels, and we've got them both cleared of the sides here. So the front of the sight, alright, so both of these wings, the dowel pins are out of them. So you can actually see the front of the sight is actually pivoting up and down out of the base. Now the other thing that we got to deal with is right here is the adjustment. It's like a cam, and it turns elliptical, and the cam motion causes the blade, the rear end of the blade, to go up and down, pivoting on these 4 dowel pins. We got to figure out how to get this out. I think that there's a pin placed this way in here, but I'm not having much luck getting it out, so we're going to have to look at this a little bit deeper. Alright, we'll continue as soon as we get more progress. Okay, the way this is made is we got it out. Here's the small cam that runs elliptically. I don't know if you can see it, but with this camera. But on the side here, let me try and get some more light here for you. Right there, you can see that's where the 35,000 Allen goes. When you turn that that screw right there, that Allen screw, get a pointer in here. When you turn that right there, that's what elevates the rear of the sight up and down, because that turns a cam type adjustment. There's a little pin that sticks out here. That little pin engages the rear blade, and what they did is they've got a slot. I don't know if it's going to show up here, but they've got a slot cut out, and then there's a feed right on the bottom where the slot continues on. So all you do is, once you get the 2 pins out, you push back, get this slot aligned up with the cam, and then pull up, and out comes the rear leaf. Looks like this is the spring that wasn't working too well. I'm guessing that's what its job is to continually push up on the rear blade, so that pressure is constantly holding against the keeping the blade up tight. So we're going to get that out and take a look at it and see what we got. Okay, so here in the cup you can see all the parts. I don't know if this is going to help or not, but right there, that's the little cam that adjusts elevation. Let me turn this off. Right there, little cam that adjusts elevation. Right here is the outside of that cam is serrated. So here's the little plunger that touches the serrations and gives you the detent effect. This little spring here was behind the plunger, and it keeps tension on the plunger, and so you get a detent effect as you rotate the elements for different elevations. Here's a little leaf spring that was in there that was doing nothing. So, and then here's the rear sight blade. I have yet to come up with a way to. There's 2 dowel pins. Let's see if this thing will focus. In this thing that meet that just engage the 2 halves there, and I got to come up with a way to get those things out. They are in there very tight, so I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do this. I got an idea. This is going to be trial and error to get those 2 pins out so I can reuse everything. Plus also that little cutout, that little broken out piece needs to be repaired. I think I'm going to try some liquid metal epoxy type stuff and fill that in. And these MMC sights you can't get anymore, so try some liquid metal and hopefully get some black marker on it that'll color it in so it looks the same. Other than that, no one seems to make a rear adjustable sight for these guns anymore. MMC stopped. I'm told that Oh, I think Sight is the one that is thinking about putting into production some sights for these guns. We might hear something more about that this summer, 2017. That Sight is going to produce sights for the 10 millimeter and the 45 caliber autos by Smith. This is a 45 tactical, and it had the rear adjustable sight that wasn't working correctly. So now we're in the process of trying to get that corrected. Alright, when we get these pins out, we'll give you a little update here. Okay, here's a picture of what we set up in order to get these two little pins out. We got it set up in a vise, and so the vise is pulling down parallel. We put a spacer on the other side. On this side, you'll see that we've got an aluminum block in here, and then there's our actual movable sight blade. We clamped it in there so that the two dowel pin holes are protruding out beyond the edge of the vise, so that what we did is we took a punch and we basically came in on the dowel pin and just pushed down, and if you look, you can see that there was clearance for it to come out the bottom. Right there are the tool dowels that were in there. This stuff is really tight on these MMC sights. What we also did is we applied heat with a heat gun and some lube penetrant to kind of keep things wet. Then we put the heat on it, and it started to move. We had a heck of a time getting it to move. We went back to Menards, and we bought another set of these punches. I think these are like $5, so you get 3 of them, 3 different sizes. But the one that we ground down yesterday fit exactly on the tip of the dowel pin. We went up the taper a little bit and ground some of it off. So we grabbed one of the fresh ones that was not ground, and it was a little bit smaller, so that actually started getting this thing moving. We tried with these other punches here, and these 3, no luck. They were just bending. So you definitely need a tapered starter like this to get these things moving. Once they start moving, then we went in with the straight ones, and were able to finish the job, but getting them moving was the hard part. Anyhow, those pins are out. I'm going to think about maybe coming up with a different design when I put this back together, just to make it so it's possible to disassemble the sight without going through all of this. This is over the top here. I think the way MMC had it figured out, if the sight had to come apart, you just took it off the gun and bought a new one, which is probably smart business sense, but from the perspective of actually trying to repair this stuff, not good. So I'm gonna see if I can change the design a little bit, something that looks, factory original, and maybe come up with that. Otherwise, I'll have to just go back to this original design. These pins are so small, maybe get some roll pins or something that might come out a little bit easier. These dowel pins are just, they're locked in there like cement. Alright, that's it. We got this apart. Maybe once we get it all laid out on a bench. We're on cement here because when you're trying to punch the stuff out, anything that you got underneath you that's providing any bounce, then that shock that you're sending into the part, is not going into it. It's being cushioned by whatever's underneath you. Cement probably provides the most serious backing for driving something out. So believe me, we tried it. We sighted on a bench top, but not even starting to move. So and many times on the cement it wasn't moving until we went to that smaller taper and the heat. A little heat gun here, blowing on it the whole time that we were working it, helped out. So there you go. let me get it laid down on a bench so you can see all the parts, and we'll go from there. Here it is. We got everything disassembled. And the way this was done, we used this vise right here. It's a machinist type vise. We clamped the adjustable sight blade in the vise using this aluminum block. And as a spacer between the two portions of the fork, we got a drill bit. We cut off the bottom of the drill bit. We ground two flats on it so that it would fit horizontally between these two forks, and then it had to be thinner. So we ground two flats on it so it would fit between those two forks on this thing. And what that did is it supported the open ends of the forks while we were trying to punch out the roll pins. Roll pins are in this cup here. I don't know if they show up all that well, but they're in here. Tight, very tight on this thing, on that adjustable sight blade. So we're considering a couple of different ideas for changing the way this is designed. First off, I think the way it was intended, the side of the adjustable sight blade has this little slot cut out in it, and a cam rides in that slot, and it moves the sight blade up and down. And provided the cam fits it real nice and tight, the adjustable sight blade goes up and down with the cam. In this case, this cam is this sight blade is partially damaged. You can see a small cutout or breakout right here on the sight blade, and that was what was causing the extra play on this thing. We're considering filling that. I can maybe TIG weld it, but man, there's so little metal there. I'm just considering trying it with some type of plastic epoxy metal, metal filled epoxy, just to fill in. It's a very small little chip out, but it's enough that it makes a difference. Then to add a springiness to the rear sight blade, I'm considering placing two springs. I've got these real small springs here. Drilling two little countersinks in here, setting the springs in those countersinks, and then use those, have two springs here pushing up on the rear sight blade. So that would kind of alleviate any slop or anything that you develop in the cam. Automatically these springs will be pushing up on a blade, so that's where the blade would set. And that's how most sights are designed. As to these roll pins, I found this little screw, but I'm not going to use this, but the concept is there where you've got a portion of the screw that's not threaded. It's just like a dowel pin, and a portion of the screw that is threaded. I'm thinking of using like the non-threaded portion to fit tightly in this, or snugly I should say, in this adjustable sight blade, and threading each wing here. Put the screw through here, thread it, and then it allow the smooth portion of the screw to pivot with the adjustable sight blade. So now when I want to remove it, all I got to do is take the two screws out, and voila, the adjustable portion of the blade can come out should you need to change the springs or get access to the screw here. Although you do have access to it, although when they had whatever this is here, looks like somebody may have tried fixing this before by placing like a leaf spring in there. It did cover up this screw which locks the whole base into the slide. So those are some of the ideas I'm kicking around to maybe improve on this and get this thing repaired so it's repeatable and operates correctly on this gun. This is not made anymore. Like I said, LPA I do believe does make one. I ordered it, and I don't know when it's going to show up, but it's been on order for about I don't know, 3 weeks to a month now, and looks like I called them up and they said it's not in stock. They're going to have to wait for the factory to make some. So that's the LPA, and I'm not sure that the LPA looks as clean as this MMC does. This kind of is a little bit, it's a little high. I would prefer it to be a little bit lower profile, but it fits right in the area there. So LPA is coming, and then the other word I got was Sight. I called them. They're going to be manufacturing a adjustable sight this summer for this for the 10 millimeters and for the 45s. There's probably enough of them out there. I think there's maybe 30,000 10 millimeters out there, or maybe 50,000. I don't know. There's quite a few of them out there, and then 45s. There's plenty of these things out there. So I believe Sight's going to be manufacturing some adjustable rear sights for these things. So that'll be a welcome when those things show up. You know, maybe at that point we might just push this thing out and put a Sight in it, or you know, be able to adapt some of our you know, different guns with these improved adjustable rear sights. So that's it for now. When I get some parts made here, possibly a couple of screws, and tap this thing out, see if this concept is going to work. Maybe we'll put a little update there and get these two little countersinks put in, or cutouts put in for the springs. That might, you know, we'll give you an update there, and then obviously once we get this thing fully assembled. But those are the thoughts right now. That's where this is kind of headed. Maybe we'll do a part 2 once we get it fully machined. Maybe we'll post this one just to let you know how to get this thing apart. It's unbelievable. Once again, without these were $5 from Menards for, I think, a set of 3 of them. This is a smaller one. It's actually bent a little bit. There's so much force you had to put on it to get these pins, these dowels. I don't know if, right there. Those are the dowels. To get those dowels to start to move, once again we had a heat gun on there, very tight. You know, it's kind of designed not to be taken apart. So we did get it apart. And this is how it's done, and then next step will be to come up with a solution and get it put back together so that we can take it apart and so that the sight is repeatable. So there you have it. Alright, stay tuned.